indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Welcome to Planning Board for October 25th. Any public comment?
It does not appear so.
Any comments from members of the board? Our first appointment is an A&R for 159 and 165 Massachusetts Avenue. Good evening, Mr. Torgensen.
Mr. Chair, this plan was dropped off early last week. It is the division of the property that is or was kebabalicious, and there is a dwelling to the west of it. It's two primary dwellings on one lot through the 81L statute, 4181L. You are permitted to divide these into non-conforming lots from a dimensional perspective, because you're making it more conforming by removing two primary uses. The uses are in conflict with each other. I've spoken to the property owner several times. They've had it on the market for close to a year, and they've had a really difficult time finding a buyer who wants both a residence and a business site. Some people want the business, some people want the house. Nobody really wants both of them. So they're pursuing the division in order to facilitate selling the properties. Both are attached to sewer, both buildings are existing. There are some challenges to the site, but nothing that hasn't existed or operated in a very similar layout over the past 20 or more years.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything from the zoning official?
We do not. Both structures are pre-existing non-conforming in their front setback. They do both meet the side setbacks and the rear setback. The dimensional issues are the front setback and the lot size. And again, the language in 81L does permit this division, and there's debate as to whether or not the property will continue to enjoy pre-existing non-conforming status. It's a conversation I've had with the property owner, and they're more interested in dividing than they are pursuing anything else.
So question, if in the future one remains a dwelling and another remains a business, the business, unless they're selling kebabs, would have to come back here for site plan approval?
If it continued to be a restaurant, it would be the same use.
Okay.
If it were a different type of business, it would be a determination by the building inspector if it was considered a change of use. In most instances, it's going to be and would require some manner of site approval.
So is there any way that we could kind of reduce or mitigate that open curb cut?
As part of any approval, absolutely.
Not for the A&R though.
Correct. And ultimately, it's DOT's road, so they're going to need DOT approval for any alteration to that curb cut. I think DOT might do a back handspring if they said we want to take this, 150 plus feet of frontage that's wide open and neck it down into a defined entrance.
They'd be happy about that,
Yeah.
yes, but we just need the vehicle to get us there.
Correct.
But as the property exists today, it's non-conforming
That's correct.
on a couple of different levels. It doesn't even meet lot size.
That's correct.
So by dividing it, at least you're a little bit closer. I mean, they do it at their own risk because of they're currently grandfathered, and so depending on their future use, that protection may disappear, but,
And ultimately, that will be up to the zoning official in place at the time that they make proposed alterations.
So when were these buildings constructed? They were constructed prior to the subdivision control law?
That is my understanding.
Existing, excuse me, the existing building in 65 was built in 38, and the dwelling was built in 38. No point.
Okay.
so we have a waiver for the topo,
Correct.
so we'll take a vote on that first and then do the A&R, or can we do it all together?
You can do it all together. I mean, it's a fairly minor thing, and where the topography is generally used to determine adequate access, and
Yep.
all of this exists, there's,
Yeah. One would argue they have too much access.
that,
So the case law states that it's been found that they don't enjoy the pre-existing non-conforming protection if they do this.
that is my
They're-
understanding
and
as
they're
well,
aware-
and
and
they have
they're
been
aware of
made
that.
aware of this.
Okay,
And they've been made aware of what the remedy to that would be.
okay.
And ultimately, that would fall to the building commissioner and/or the ZBA, depending on the situation.
Correct. And I believe we've done one or two others of these that have followed the remedy of special permit dimensional variation to memorialize what the new lots would look like and allow them to continue moving forward.
My only question would be, and it doesn't necessarily pertain to this specific application, but for anybody that's in this position, can they pursue the special permit process prior to the A&R?
Yes, and that's been the
Okay.
advice previous, is go get your special permits, come and get the A&R. They also can pursue it post. There isn't a necessarily definitive way to do it, because now they've, I guess in theory, the zoning board could look at it and say, well, now you've created your own hardship, but if they were going to approve it before, there's probably not a lot of reason they wouldn't approve it after, unless they were proposing a significant alteration to the structure that would, again, continue to increase the nonconformity.
Yep. Just helpful information to have, because we certainly have a lot of properties that aren't necessarily conforming, so.
So the one lot is undersized for the zoning area?
That's correct.
So
So if you
how
take,
is this reducing, simply just the two buildings, but you're creating two lots that are undersized?
Correct, but you're removing two primary structures, which is a greater nonconformity than a dimensional nonconformity.
so now you have a single family and a commercial food establishment on separate lots, which arguably is better than having two conflicting uses on the same lot.
Well, are they gonna, is this commercially zoned?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So then they're gonna have the same problem that Stone Farm was having about the residential aspect of the commercial district, no?
But it's a pre-existing residential use in a commercial district, so
But it's gonna
there's,
go away as soon as we allow them to put that line in there.
The dimensional nonconformity goes away, not the use nonconformity.
the use continues. But even as it sits right now, you combine both lots, you end up with 36,600 square feet. You're still under 40,000 square feet, so they don't meet the lot size as it is.
Right, but I mean, in an ideal world, I would like to see both buildings torn down and one building reestablished on the non-conforming lot that would still enjoy the non-conformance, existing non-conformance, right? They could not, well, it doesn't matter. So this is basically for marketing? Is that what?
Yes, they have people who are interested in each individual building, but not both buildings together.
Okay. So I guess,
And I mean, I think in the past 2 or 3 years, they've completely renovated the house interior.
of course they have.
I mean, a lot of the issues associated with this division would be sorted out by the building commissioner and the ZBA. So at the end of the day, for the planning board, it boils down to approving an A&R, and as long as the clients or the applicant is well aware of the risks involved in terms of the use of the building at 165 Mass Ave, then I don't see any issues with it.
I see a lot of issues, but I don't see anything we can take and any that we can actually stand on.
Yep. Any other questions or concerns?
No, it looks like under 81L, it's allowed. I also have concerns about it, but I don't see anything that we can do as a board to not approve it, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, a lot of these properties and their uses were here long before zoning and lot sizes and everything came along, so, you know, I can understand where the applicant's looking to divide these two uses and make the property more marketable and probably more usable in the future anyhow. The amount of people that want to have a residence and a business on one lot are few, so.
So I would make a motion to approve the A&R for 159 Mass Avenue.
Second.
Nice.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Excellent.
They're not even here, so we'll sign it at the end.
Okay. Our next appointment is for 333 Massachusetts Ave, Hannaford to go, request for de minimis change.
All right, so. Hannaford, you guys will remember, was probably about 3 years ago, came in, and they said, you know all that parking on the side of the building? We want to take it all out, and we want to make this funny lane where you go and you do a U-turn, and you dial up, and we come and bring your groceries out to you. Now, after getting buried over the last 18 months with people picking up their groceries, they've come back and said, remember that funny lane we made? We want to take it out, and we want to make it all parking again. So, my understanding of what's happening is the whole of Hannaford is changing the way that they do curbside pickup. And so they're looking to remove the physical facilities they've constructed, restripe them as parking as they previously were, and use those as the parking spaces for their Hannaford to go pickup. So they've, at this point, removed the call box, and it's a cell phone-oriented call-in.
Okay.
So I suspect that what they're finding is it's more efficient for people to pull into a parking space and find them by number rather than have them queue up because some orders may be not done or are different sizes, and they're finding people getting stuck in the queue. And so this just restores the site to its original layout. It removes the arm and the call box infrastructure adjacent to the building and repaves it and restripes the area to be standard parking spaces as the rest is, with the installation of some signs.
I don't have any issues. I don't know if anybody else does. I mean, essentially, you're reverting the site back to what it was when it was originally brought before the board for approval 20-some years ago.
I don't have any problem with it either. So I would make a motion to approve the de minimis change for Hannaford to go.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I for myself. Our next appointment is 475 Lemonster Shirley Road, and that has been continued.
They have asked for a continuance. Excuse me. They received the traffic peer review a week or so ago. In reviewing it, there were some items that they needed to address. They had a meeting with, GPI had a meeting with MDM on Friday. GPI is the applicant's traffic engineer. MDM is our traffic engineer. This morning, Graves, the DPW director, myself, and both traffic engineers met again to discuss their approach. And they expect in the next couple of days to be resubmitting for review both by MDM and Graves to come for November 8th. They've made significant progress, and I think there's a final solution on the horizon.
Okay.
And this aluminum noise product guide that we have, is this information?
That is
provided by-
that's the sound wall guide that they have submitted. That's the product they intend to use, and it will be designed for the site, similar to a retaining wall at the time of the construction of the building.
Can we, excuse me, can we start adding to the conditions at this point by stating that the wall should be of Durasol manufacture?
I don't think you can do that now because they've asked to continue and they're not here.
Okay, but I mean,
But if you want to, if you
mental.
want to email me what your thoughts are, I can start working on the draft decision, and I can include some language that we can finalize at the next meeting.
Thank you. So do we need a motion to
Yes, you
continue?
do.
Yeah.
I move.
Where are we continuing to?
November 8th.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue to November 8th at 6:35 PM.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Chair, if we could take D next.
Okay.
101 Pleasant Street has also sent a request to continue to November 8th. They are preparing an alternative plan and were unable to submit it in time to make tonight's meeting.
I had a question on that. Where are we on days for, I know you received
We're
respondents from them, but,
well more than 30. I think we're in the mid to low 50s.
okay. All right. So after our last meeting where they weren't present,
I got a continuance within a few days.
okay. All right. So we're in pretty good shape there. So, and they would like to continue to November 8th as well?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to continue 101 Pleasant Street to November 8th at 6:35 PM.
So moved.
Second. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Excellent. So our next appointment is 360 Flat Hill Road for the Scenic Road application. Mr. Mattson, if you'd like to step forward for the Scenic Road portion of things.
Thank you.
Ken Mattson with Mattson Homes 2. And I guess we're here for the Scenic Road and then also for stormwater management on 360 Flat Hill. I've been told by Mark that he's got everything submitted. And I believe that he's added the information on that scenic road that you guys were wanting added to it.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Well, we've still got one overhead and one underground coming from pole 24.
Yep.
I believe that one there's the overheads going to the back on the shared driveway and the undergrounds going to lot 1.
Yep. But it resolves the issue in terms of moving the driveway for Lot 1 away from that large oak tree that
Correct.
is a scenic road tree.
And it moves the utility connection from 23 away as well.
Right, so that we weren't digging around that big tree.
Any comments or concerns?
No, I think he's done mostly what we've asked.
So I would make a motion to approve the scenic road, cutting of public, improvement of scenic roads, cutting of public shade trees for 360 Flat Hill Road.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, our next appointment is for 360 Flat Hill Road for the stormwater management permit, which was continued from September 27th.
Mr. Chairman, just a question. We have a draft decision on the scenic roads. Are we going to sign that, or are we going to, since we just approved it?
Well, you're going to want to, yeah. That was the approval that you just made?
Yeah.
You also need to close that public hearing.
I would make a motion to close the public hearing for 360 Flat Hill Road, improvement of scenic roads.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The meeting before us got continued to hear.
So, Adam, did you not want us to
No,
act on the
you
permit
can,
itself?
you can sign it. I don't want to print on both sides.
Is that in our packet
Oh,
tonight?
but you don't have the motions up to date, so you'll have to
I just
modify-
did the motions. Across the street, that's not gonna help us. Hopefully somebody's over there and it surprises them.
So on the decision, okay, October 14th, which, yep, is the most recent plan. Any concerns about the decision for the Scenic Road?
I'm fine with the,
It references the current
Right,
plan, and I think
exactly.
The red line?
the-
exactly.
The red line received this
Yep.
date?
Yeah, so, which is dated October 14th. So the plan's dated October 14th, we received it on the 21st, but that all matches up, so. I think we're in good shape there, so we can sign that at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Moving on to the stormwater permit for 360 Flat Hill Road. Do you want to bring us up to speed on
Certainly.
some of the changes? I know we had some concerns about Lot 5 and the,
Yeah, correct. So there are some minor changes on the plan. There were no changes to the stormwater calc or the book, but there were some minor changes to the plan. Lot 5, we shifted to accurately reflect the current septic design, so it shows the reserve area on Lot 5. It also moves the well further down towards the intersection, and I've extended the erosion control barrier to incorporate all that work.
okay.
And I think that is the bulk of all the changes, aside from maybe just the underground location on Lot 1. We also added phone numbers to the plans and a signature block to the plans, at both Jeff's request and Marjorie's request.
So where am I going to find the operation and maintenance for the rain gardens?
It's attached to the
That
draft
is
decision.
in-
It's attached to the draft decision.
It's not part of your plan set?
It's in the stormwater calc.
Okay.
It's in the back of the stormwater calc book.
Which I don't have.
I think I have, if you want to see it.
I believe
But it's in the decision.
the intent is that it'll be referenced in the deeds.
It's there.
The only concern that I have about the operation and maintenance plan is, in one section, if you look at the bioretention maintenance schedule, I have no problem with most of them, but the last one says, replace entire media and all vegetation, late spring, early summer as needed. And I guess my question is, when there's no specification that the vegetation has to be replaced with a specific type of vegetation, does your plan currently call for specific vegetation within the rain gardens?
Yes, and I believe the list of species is listed in there as well. A lot of that's taken from Mass DEP's guidance.
So, Adam, maybe you can clear this up, and what we have attached to the permit, the draft permit that you put together, is operation and maintenance plan by future homeowners, and then there's a couple pages, but nowhere am I seeing a plant species list or reference to it in this. So I guess in that case, what I would want to do is add an additional condition.
Then maybe we grabbed the wrong,
There is a plant schedule on the plan set as well, but I can pull it up. I'm relatively certain I put the species listing right in the stormwater report as well.
it may be in the report, I don't think it's in the operation and maintenance.
That could be.
So
And
we
that's
pulled,
my
yeah, we
concern.
pulled the section of the operation and maintenance, not the entire stormwater report, so that you're not recording a book.
Right.
I mean, I guess it costs you $75 either way, but at the same time, we don't need, a whole book dedicated at the registry to a single project.
So I guess what I would do then is and I don't know if this makes sense or if we need to pull the species list, but you have some special conditions, and one of my conditions would be that any vegetation replaced must be replaced with species identified in the operation and maintenance, in the stormwater handbook.
You could even reference the plan. It's a
Okay.
more limited, it's a more limited list.
Okay, and where, do you know what?
On the last page of the plan, there's a plant schedule.
Right, in the rain garden detail.
Which I don't know which that is, but
Yeah, it's the sheet for lot 5, which would be sheet 6.
yeah. On the, right under the locust map there.
All right, I'm not seeing it. Am I not, it's on my,
That's not the same
that's not
plan.
it? Okay.
Mine is the very last page.
Okay, all right, so our pages are in different order, that's all.
You want to add a fourth special condition,
Yes.
It's on that page too.
and it should read what?
All vegetation species must conform,
This is the rain gardens?
yeah, and I guess, I don't know how to word it.
So you want anything there that dies to be replaced with something from the planting schedule?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and it's basically the rain garden detail that's on every individual lot that I've seen.
Correct. We
Right.
And I
tried to
think
make
all the
each-
details are
each
the
sheet
same.
all-encompassing so that the homeowner could just then have one sheet with their deed.
Good thinking.
So,
Thank
any vegetation that must be replaced must be replaced
rain-
with
Hold
plant.
on,
Go ahead, you got it?
let me write, I think I've got it, I think
You
I've got it.
Okay. As long as that's one of the conditions. I just don't want people to think they can pull out all the plants and put in anything they want.
Yeah.
And while he's working on that, can you say which end of this document that?
I actually don't even, see if I have it.
Because I have
Can I
not
borrow
seen
that
it.
for a second?
Sure.
Sorry, I was just came to get the plan.
Check to make sure that's the most updated as well for the calcs. Oh, I just passed your thing away, sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, this is sold.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the original. Okay. But I can pull it up.
I don't think that's probably the first one that
Oh, there we go.
Just a plan.
How about this one?
I can look through that. Beginning, end, somewhere in
Yeah,
the middle?
towards the end is the operation manual. Those are all,
Stormwater.
that's all the operation stuff. The original submission, I tried to make it more of an educational packet, but after, meeting with the board, we saw that it was going to be a recordable document and going to be tied to the deed, so we made it more formal and official. And a lot of those are Mass DEP fact sheets.
So, yeah, it was a good call then to add the species because it's not in,
It's not in, it's not in there. It's on the plans, but if they don't look at the plans and only look at the recorded
Okay.
document,
Yeah, it may have been in the second to last revision when it was more of an educational packet. It may have come out with the formal version.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Right on top.
Sure. Cleverly organized. Giant heap.
What sheet is it on in the plan set?
So each individual lot plan
Oh, okay.
has a
It's in
detail
the
It's
rain
on,
garden
the
detail.
the species is on, there's a species list on each lot.
in the
Yep.
rain garden detail specific, yep.
Yep. Any other concerns from the board?
just the hours of operation. We never really decided.
That's the other one.
I thought it was 7 AM to 5 PM Monday through Friday, and then a shorter period of time on Saturday. But I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, well, the orchard operates on its own schedule, and they're often operating when I wake up, so. What else?
8 to 3 on Saturday,
That's my thought.
Did you say 7 to 5 during the
Monday
week?
through Friday, yep.
8 to 3 on Saturday. And can you just print out that condition you came out with?
Yeah, I'll read it to you in just a second.
Okay.
8 to 3, not 8 to 8.
And then I have a question when you're ready, Adam, as well.
So, any vegetation within the designated rain gardens that is dead or requires removal must be replaced with a like planting chosen from the species list on the plan sheet that corresponds with the lot where the replacement will take place.
Perfect.
Mr. Allison.
Yes, I don't see that we referenced the drainage calculations. As we just found, there were a few different versions of it. Seeing there's only one of them has the operation and maintenance.
I thought that it was in the list of documents.
Plans.
Plans, stormwater date, July 22, 2021, revised August 17, and September 10. Have you revised it since then, Mr. Alberg?
I believe that's the one.
That's what I
Second
thought.
revision.
We're looking at, what does it say?
Under plans, it says additional recorded record documents.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
That's stormwater, so that's scenic road, this is
Okay,
stormwater.
there we go. It helps if I'm looking at the right document.
Right there.
Beautiful.
And this is September 9th or 10th? thought it was September.
9/10.
Yeah. So it should be,
September 10.
I have September 9th.
Well, I think the plans and the, yeah, that's the plans.
Okay. Oh, okay, and then,
Yes.
all right.
So with the four conditions that you've identified, I'm okay with approval. I don't have any additional concerns.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else does.
Do we have any public with us at all?
I don't
Nope.
think so. And we can close the public hearing if nobody else has anything to add. And then if anybody feels like they need further time to go through the decision, we can always vote on it at a later time, but I feel like we've gone through this
Yeah, I think
pretty
it's pretty
thoroughly.
Pretty well vetted.
I would make a motion to close the public hearing for the stormwater management permit for 360 Flat Hill Road.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, you guys can get comfortable.
Adam's
you,
just
Thank-
working on
Thank you.
Just working on
the
language, I
rest of
think.
the,
Well, everything's set. I can't get it to print for some reason.
Okay.
So you'll either have to drop by the office and sign it, or you can sign it on November 8th, which will be within the 14 days.
I just know that these guys have been waiting.
Yeah, I know.
Wanted to get them,
I don't know what happened between the last time I printed a document here and now, but it just doesn't seem to be,
so can I make a motion to approve the permit with the revisions
Yeah.
as discussed?
I mean, so it's the standard conditions, and then the three that were in there, plus the one that I just read.
Right. And we've determined the hours will be 7 to 5 on Monday for
That's
condition
correct.
4 and 8 to 3 on Saturday.
Yep.
and then just in terms of formalities, myself, Mr. Allison, and Mrs. Bertram are the only ones allowed to sign, so it would need to be the three of us.
Correct.
Stop in the office and sign this, so.
So I would make a motion to approve the stormwater permit for 360 Flat Hill Road as revised this evening by the board.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I?
No,
Yep.
you-
Aye.
Aye.
And that'll be printed and ready for you tomorrow.
Okay, I
So-
will,
Then there's an appeal period.
Correct. Once they sign it, we'll file it with the town clerk. The day after the town clerk receives it and stamps it, 20 days, similar to a special permit or anything like that.
Someone will let us know once it's been filed.
Correct. And as with any other permit, you are permitted to begin work within that appeal period with the knowledge that you do so at your own peril, and should someone appeal or something else happen, then you could be required to make restitution or return the site to its previous state. Thank you, guys.
good night.
Thank you. All right. Board warrant articles. Special town meeting. So we have a public hearing. Who would like to do the honors of opening our public hearing, Adam?
Do I get to read it and everything?
You're welcome.
Almost think I was like the board clerk.
You want me to read?
No, the Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing on October 25th, 6:35 PM, Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Massachusetts, to make alterations to the Code of Lunenburg, Mass., Chapter 250. Zoning, Article 4, Use Regulations, Section 250, 4.9, Water Supply Protection District, B1, by updating the Lunenburg Water District Aquifer Protection Zone map date. Article 5, Dimensional Regulations, Section 250, 5.1, Lot Area, B, by deleting the retail commercial and defining the required lot area, required lot width through the building, and required lot width and frontage for limited business residential. Article 3, Establishment of Districts, 250, 3.1, by replacing G, Retail Commercial District, with Village Center District. 253.2, Location of Districts, by amending the zoning map date to November 16th, 2021, and to amend the current zoning map to reflect the change in the Water Supply Protection District. Materials are available for viewing at the Planning Office, 960 Massachusetts Ave, Lunenburg, Mass. This meeting will be broadcast live through cable access.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get rid of some of these files and then we'll put them up. I figured we would go through them in the order that they are intended to be on the warrant article, or the warrant article, the warrant. So the first being the types of districts. This, as was stated, strictly removes retail commercial, which is a district that has not existed since 2017, and replaces it with the Village Center District, which has existed since 2015. It does not appear that we have any questions. Is there any questions from the board?
No.
Again, this is what I would class as a housekeeping. The next is, this is probably our most controversial article. It's the upgrade or the update to the Water Supply Protection District. It takes the previous map from 2009, replaces it with the current map from July of 2021, which was created by the Water District with input from DEP in their most recent withdrawal, their withdrawal increase request. What we see is, and you can see this on the screen in the back, along Kilburn Street, stretching out from Lancaster, there's this weird globby thing. It looks kind of like a duck stretching its neck or a goose stretching its neck, standing on a potato. And previously, the line was sort of at the goose tail. So it just mirrored along Lancaster Ave. It was sort of flat. You can see here, this thick pink line. Here is Goodrich, or here's Goodrich, here's Kilburn. The goose comes down here, the potato comes down here. So it's really a small stretch of road, again, reflected here. This is the old line cutting in here and now comes out here.
Can you make that bigger?
I can. So the previous line was here. We've got our goose and our potato.
Okay, so that area came, instead of just that gap closing, that additional
Correct.
area has been added?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if you're familiar with this area, there's a smattering of homes along Kilburn Street on the south side. This central area here is functionally a swamp, undeveloped, wooded, home of several packs of coyotes and a bunch of white-tailed deer that come and my dog thinks should get played with on a regular basis. And then this area here is within the farm on Lancaster Ave. There's a swamp on the north side of Kilburn that is the low areas, and then it goes up to a planted agriculture field along with some fields out on Lancaster and some, I believe, fruit trees on the slope.
So does the change to the water supply protection district, will it impact the uses of those properties?
It doesn't, in that, in our, bylaw, houses are permitted.
What about the farming and pesticides? That's my primary question.
Well, and just to be clear, those are part
Are
of
pre-existing,
zone.
and they're pre-existing non-conforming.
I understand they're pre-existing non-conforming, but my question is will this change of the water supply area impact farming, even though we're a right-to-farm community, negatively? I know there are certain things that can't happen in the water supply protection district.
There are, and
Well, before we go down that road, this is a change to the Zone 2 or Zone 3?
this is the Zone 2.
Okay. So, just from my experience with pesticides, being a licensed pesticide applicator, most of the pesticide restrictions sit in the Zone 1.
Correct.
That's the,
Okay.
not saying you certainly need to be well aware of Zone 2 and Zone 3, but most of the restrictions are in the Zone 1, which are the small circles.
Correct, and that's where most of the restrictions are going to be in general.
Yep.
So reading from section 4.9, C3, which is, C is use regulations, 3 is uses permissible in Zone 2 by special permit granted by the planning board, irrespective of permitted uses in the underlying district. Farming, gardening, nursery, conservation, forestry, harvesting, and grazing as provided under Chapter 40A, provided that fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, manure, hazardous material, liquid petroleum products, and other leachable materials are stored within an enclosed structure and used in a manner that will not permit groundwater contamination. I'm sorry, that's use is permissible in Zone 1. Oh, no, that's Zone 2 as well. Yep.
That's Zone 2. Subject to the granting of a special permit by the planning board. If it's a pre-existing use, they won't need, will they need?
So they're going to be considered pre-existing non-conforming,
Okay.
because we cannot retroactively impose zoning on a use that exists.
Okay, that was.
So we couldn't knock on his door and say, hey, you need a special permit now.
Right,
But should the current farmer pack up shop and say, I'm done, and sell it to someone who says, I'm not a farmer, I just live here, I'm just hanging out, and then that person sells it to someone who's like, hey, I want to farm, the new farmer, after the use has been abandoned voluntarily, would need to come and obtain a special permit. That's a fairly unlikely scenario, and there's a lot of other nuances to, abandonment or voluntary discontinuance of a use. And quite frankly, I'd have to look and see if that parcel is APR or not, because that might have an impact as well. Because if it's APR, it can only ever be farming, and the use can't be discontinued.
Yep. Well, and the other piece of this puzzle is a lot of the stuff that is regulated with the application of pesticides is outside the jurisdiction of the town, the planning board, and
Right,
everyone.
right.
It's regulated by MDAR, the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture. And so whatever stipulations they have is what anybody with that use will need to follow. So. Any other concerns about the water supply protection article. I mean, this really isn't our article. This is coming from the water district.
Well, the water district made the request to the town. By making that request, they have fulfilled their obligations to DEP under their withdrawal permit. But in the interest of protecting the water that everybody on municipal water
Yeah.
drinks, I think the board felt that
Well,
was an
I'm
important
just
step forward.
clarifying it that, like, this.
Yeah, the planning
We
board
didn't
didn't
draw this
decide.
We didn't draw this map.
Correct.
No,
And
we
It,
didn't
it
draw
was
this
drawn by a
map.
hydrogeologist who
Right.
probably has more brains in his finger than I have in my whole head.
So,
We good on water supply?
I think so.
I am, yeah.
Yep.
All right, I don't see any hands up. The next article will be the location of districts. This article takes the May 3rd, 2008 zoning map and strikes it as the official map and makes the November 16th, 2021 map, which will include the amended water supply protection map as the official map. It's dated as of town meeting, not as of the creation of the map, because the adopting of the map will be done at that point.
So a question about that is that we revised the map to include the acquisition of the Saliba property, did we not?
No, not the zoning map.
What map was that?
It was just the map of the property. I mean, you didn't change this, the zoning wasn't changed when that parcel was,
I thought we included
Acquired.
that in the recreational, or was that already included in?
it was already in the recreational zone. There was no amendment to the, if it isn't, it was never, that was not folded into that zone. And it
I think
wouldn't.
The golf course was.
The golf course definitely is. And the Saliba property wouldn't matter one way or the other if it were in a recreational zone, because that would be,
No, it was removal of the recreation zone for the solar, because the solar went in the recreation zone.
it did, we never changed to the,
Never updated the bylaw.
we never changed the map, no.
Okay.
Because the way the solar bylaw reads, it doesn't class it to a specific district, it classes it to parcel size. So it's permitted in all districts by special permit on a parcel 20 acres or greater.
No, I'm good with that.
Me too.
All right, now we're cooking with gas. And the final article on the warrant, number 18, if I'm not mistaken, will be the alterations to Section 250, 5.1 lot area. We will be striking the words retail commercial, replacing them with limited business residential, thus requiring a legal lot in the limited business residential zone to have 40,000 square feet, 100 feet of frontage, and 100 feet of lot width through the building.
Very good, nothing new there either.
I do have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mrs.
The,
Burgess.
it's not specifically on these articles, but I know we have Adam submitted a request for inclusion of the funding for the capital plan, for the master plan to capital planning. We had talked about doing a two-pronged approach with a warrant article and a request to capital plan. I don't know if we still wanted to do that.
That would be Springtown meeting.
Okay, that wouldn't be.
Yeah, I think
okay.
the warrant is closed at this point.
Yeah, okay.
And I think what we had talked about was pursuing capital planning, seeing how that progressed, and depending on the outcome of that, approaching the potential for an outside article should it not fit into the capital plan.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any public comment. I think we've covered these from my perspective. I'm happy to answer any additional questions. Otherwise, I would leave it in your capable hands.
I think we're in good shape.
I think we're in good shape.
Pretty simple, straightforward. Nothing too controversial this go around.
You know
I
what,
will-
we usually think it's simple and straightforward.
I was going to say, I won't say that until November 17th.
So I think we can close the hearing.
Yep, I make a motion to close the hearing for the warrant articles.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And I for myself. Excellent. Decisions, we've already done,
You guys need to make a recommendation.
on the articles.
Correct.
Do we have to do
Do
them
we-
individually, or can we do it in
You
one
can,
fell
I mean,
swoop?
if you're going to recommend them all favorably, then you can do them all together.
I would make a motion that the board recommends approval of all of the planning board warrant articles.
Second.
Any discussion?
It seems quite redundant to have to suggest recommendation of our own articles, but
Well, but sometimes it's not your article, as we have found out in the past.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Excellent. Decisions, 360 Flat Hill Road, we've been through that.
We've covered both of those.
101 Pleasant Street's being continued. So we can move forward to minutes approval.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes of September 27th, for hearing for 1263 Reservoir Road and 435 Leominster Shirley Road. Minutes of 9/27/21 for 360 Flat Hill Road, Scenic Road. Minutes of 9/27 for 360 Flat Hill Road, Stormwater Permit, and minutes of 9/27/21 for 101 Pleasant Street.
Second?
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Moving on to committee reports. TCP Building Design Committee.
I have not made the last two meetings, and I understand that there was a CADed version of the new building proposed, presented, and I have received a second draft of the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation at town meeting. Basically, still just the double ask for money in the discussion. I'm not sure what's going to be finalized and ready for presentation, but they're working on it.
Have they gotten a final number as of yet?
On the
No,
On
that's
the,
what we
on the
need-
new?
that's-
Yeah, I
that's
know,
what
they
we
were
need
hoping for it by no,
$250,000 to come up with. We're going to need to spend money to find out how much more money we're going to have to spend.
Oh.
Right?
So my understanding is they have three articles. One is simply the update from the committee.
Yep.
The second article is to potentially fund the renovation of TC Passios as it exists today.
Yes.
Take what we've got and renovate it. And then the third article would be to demo that building and build a new building.
Well, the third article is going to be an ask for the $250,000 for the design documents
Okay.
outlining the new building.
Okay.
Oh, I thought that they were, I was under the impression, I was at a select board meeting, or I watched, and I thought that they were, the first article was the request, the report. The second article was the 250 that you spoke about, with an estimate of the cost to build. And the third article was to ask for the money for the renovation, with the understanding that they were hoping to have an estimated final cost for a new build in order to have a comparative analysis between renovation and new construction.
Okay, I get, that's what,
And maybe I misunderstood because I was probably watching it while I was doing something else.
that's probably what the $50,000 that we just got done spending.
Correct. That was my understanding, is they were going to give them a guesstimate, an educated number
It's still
that.
gonna be a guesstimate, we're still gonna need,
Correct, but I mean, if they say it's 22 million and it's 21 million, or it's gonna be within hopefully a ballpark. They were just looking for, the comparative.
the optimist would say that the new building is gonna be less than renovating the old one.
Well,
But
the realist would say we have no idea until they give us a number.
the realist in me that says, well, we're not gonna know until we spend another $250,000. But, again, I haven't been at the meetings, so I apologize. To move on,
The AgCom.
the AgCom, we have not met, so there's no report. The farmer's market has finished for the year. It was, we lost momentum towards the end of the season. We had a couple of vegetable vendors. One wasn't able to make it from Townsend, another one was a victim of their own success, and they're so busy with their CSAs, they couldn't spend the time to come to the market. It's unfortunate. So we had, I think we had 8 vendors at the last market, and fairly poor turnout. But we hope to spend the winter figuring out how we can get the big troves of people and the 20-something vendors back next year.
Stormwater Task Force.
We haven't met, we have a meeting November 4th.
All right. Open Space.
Hasn't met.
Capital Planning.
So we met October 19th, and we reviewed the capital requests that have been submitted by the departments. At the previous meeting, we went through the items that weren't funded last year, that have been moved to this year, and there are a number of new requests for this year. Records retention project submitted by the town manager, the master plan submitted by us. The senior center is looking for an ADA patio for design and construction on HVAC upgrade. Designing drainage and pavement repairs at the public safety building. Town hall, electrical, phone cable and wiring, to remove some of the wiring. And then the police department has a K-9 because Jerry's retiring, and a police vehicle, new marked cruiser. So those are new requests that are on the table right now. For next year, we also have some new requests that are in the outer years. And the final one that we have is a two-way radio system for the highway for next year. We are going to be meeting every Tuesday between now and the end of November to hear from all the departments, and tomorrow night is the fire department and the planning director.
Hopefully I get to go first.
You're on second.
Economic Development Committee, which I believe is Mr. Brenner.
It is. We've missed the last 2 meetings because of inability to have attendance,
Okay.
but we're meeting Thursday.
And MRPC and MJTC.
Those are both Mr. Brenner.
Yeah.
So we may want to consider.
Reorganizing for those.
Not necessarily
Or
reorganizing.
at least for,
but I
or
think,
fill in.
I think he has the ability to name a designee,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe something we want to put on our agenda.
Okay.
Yep.
And he said he will be available for contact and communication,
Yeah,
but he may be a little slower about it.
yeah. So we may want to, Eric, just so that you know, Mr. Brenner's going to be out for a couple months, or a few months, so we may want to consider that at our next meeting.
Oh, I hadn't.
No, I thought you were here, sorry, Matt.
No, that's right.
Director's items.
So, the town has seated a bylaw review committee. We received a memo from them requesting input on thoughts on bylaws that we're in charge of, or we have dealings with, that we feel should be modified, reviewed, et cetera. If I remember correctly, the last time this was done, zoning didn't exist to them. They looked at everything except for the zoning bylaws. So I don't know if the board has thoughts on things that they'd like additional review on. Most of what we address in the general bylaws is stormwater, and we just amended that. I don't know if you want them to dig through the zoning. I think that's a pretty heavy lift in general. So, I mean, we can have a discussion about it if you guys want to think about it and come back at the next meeting with thoughts.
I'd be curious to find out the history of the formation of the bylaw review committee,
I believe it's a chartered
the Lunenburg Charter.
committee, yeah.
So since the zoning, which is called the protective bylaw, didn't exist then, it just, when it did exist, it just got, is this the first one you said?
No, they've done this once in the time that I've been here, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and we've had a protective zoning, protective bylaw since 90s.
Yeah. I mean, at least.
I mean, I've got a version of 98. I'm not sure that a document that wasn't in existence when when this committee was formed would fall under their purview.
Mm-hmm.
You see what yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that the zoning bylaws are mentioned in the D through double E or double F in the section 81 for planning.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, I guess I'm asking, is it even a question?
So this was, well, and it was amended as of 8/20/2020 when the new charter went into being. Bylaw review, the select board shall, at 5-year intervals in each year ending in 5 or in 0, cause to be prepared by special committee appointed for the purpose, a proposed revision or recodification of all bylaws of the town, which shall be presented to town meeting for reenactment at an annual town meeting or the year following, and then it outlines who shall be on it. So it doesn't, I mean, one could infer that that is omnibus on all the bylaws.
It's clearly states.
Yeah. So, and now with the recodification that was done as a result of the previous, the protective bylaw isn't called out on its own. It is a subsection of the Code of Lunenburg. So I don't know that they will or won't do it. It is a very specialized section of the bylaw that, you know, could take several years on its own to be reviewed and recodified. But I just put that out there for the board to consider and maybe discuss next time around.
Well, from my standpoint, if there's any significant issues that we see with any of our bylaws, then it might be worth considering bringing it to their attention. But I feel like most, at least in my experience on the board, most of the issues we're dealing with are relatively small changes to things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one section of the zoning bylaw that could really use a review is the open space design. And I think taking it out of the special permit and making it a by right and requiring special permit for conventional development would be the best upgrade that we could do. And that's reflected by what the state's guidance is these days and what a lot of communities are moving to. And it doesn't allow for additional land to be used for development, and it shrinks the footprint of development in a way that retains natural character and offers wildlife habitat and corridor. So that would be the only thing that comes to my mind.
Maybe all the other bylaw updates that have been shot down at town meeting recently, in the last few years, maybe
Well-
they can try to,
We could give them the earth removal and they
I
could
was just
try
going to
that
say,
again.
earth removal would be a good one.
yeah, and then this two-family requiring the 1.5 times the lot area.
We had a citizen come in front of us a few months ago about the two-family dwelling
Yes.
thing, side by side versus floors.
Up and down, yep.
And is there any indication that there's going to be a citizen's petition?
There is
to
not
that
on this
effect?
current warrant.
Okay.
You would have had to have had a public hearing for that.
Yep, yep, that's true. All right, well, we'll give that some consideration.
Traffic counts for Leominster Shirley Road and Howard Street. Leominster Shirley Road is one of the areas that is counted in the 4-year cycle that MRPC does. For the life of me, I could not figure out how to run the report to disseminate it to you, but I can send you the information and you can pull it up on the MassDOT website, which will, it shows you what the counts are and where they are and what year they're from. I did make the traffic consultant aware of it. He had already had that information, so. And last Tuesday, I went before the Select Board to discuss the request for Howard Street and the counting there. They did approve the requests, and they were signed and forwarded to Sherry Bean at MRPC. So it's now a matter of whether or not they have the staff and the equipment to perform the additional counts. And I'm sure once they have them and process them, they'll let us know if they're going to be able to do them or not.
Great, thank you.
Uma Flowers, at the end of September, their last Tuesday in September, they had their community meeting right here in this room. It was recorded and broadcast and is available on the town's YouTube page. There were more people in attendance than there had been at the previous community meeting. They did conduct it as a hybrid meeting, so people were able to get on Zoom and make comments and follow the meeting, as well as folks here in public. It certainly seemed as if things would be moving forward. I'm not sure at what pace. This group is, as I understand it, on the precipice of opening a retail location in Pepperell. And if that's the case, I'm not sure how established groups are handled through the Cannabis Control Commission. Clearly, the background check issue is resolved at that point. I would imagine whatever policies and/or operational plans that are required to be filed would not be terribly dissimilar between the two communities, and it would really come down to the ability to permit the location and any security planning done with the local police department and other emergency services. So the 9 to 12 month queue may be shorter. It may not be. I don't know that the select board has finalized or signed any host community agreement with this group, so I don't believe they've even moved to the stage of applying to cannabis control. But I would expect we will be seeing an application sometime in the future, whether it's February or June or something else, I'm not sure. That was a giant bug. Master plan, I think Mrs. Bertram has essentially given my update. The request was filed with capital planning, and I will be at their meeting tomorrow to discuss what that looks like.
Any update on Arrow Estates?
I have not heard anything. I don't believe the town has yet either.
Okay. And at this point, we're just waiting for feedback from Mass Housing?
Yeah, Mass Housing is either going to approve or deny the project, funding the project, and from there, it will become what it is. If they deny it, then it goes away. If they approve the project, they go into final site designs and application with the zoning board.
When you say approve the project, this is, I thought that this is the site eligibility.
It is, I apologize.
Just the site
Approve funding of the
eligibility.
project.
Yeah,
Mass Housing will not approve the project. That would be up to the local zoning board.
yeah, okay.
All right.
That's my updates.
All right, meeting schedule. All board meetings are held at 6:30 PM. Our next meeting is here at Town Hall, November 8th. And then November 16th is special town meeting, 7 PM. And then our second meeting in November is November 22nd. Any public comment? Do we have any?
No, no
members?
public.
Any comment from the board? With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Recording stopped.
If you'll sign the A&R plans.
Will do.
Right after I